And I was frankly disgusted when I saw yesterday at a presidential rally, not a campaign rally. This is a rally of the President of the United States. Elon Musk standing up and giving a Sieg Heil.
Elections, they come and go. Some elections are, important, some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
And then excusing himself for it by saying, well, he was just, putting his heart out to people. I think it's disgusting. It should be called out. The president should call it out, and Elon Musk owes an apology to the American people. Why are these people making nice? They hope to become greater than billionaires. They hope to double what they already have. That is why they're making nice. That's all I can imagine. I mean, I maybe some of them have delusions of becoming dictators themselves. So I can't read between the lines of what it is exactly, but that's what I can imagine. I want to conclude today by calling attention to the new reality that our country is facing and saw take place in Washington, D.C. Yesterday. President Trump has returned to office, and the new Republican administration, unfortunately, is already enacting an agenda that will increase consumer costs, hurt working families, cause layoffs, and hold America's economy back. Individual rights are under attack, causing fear for, people with disabilities, for pregnant women, for legal immigrants and temporary migrants, for LGBTQ Americans, small business owners, and so many others. Our Midwestern values are under siege. Recently, I've been asked if there's anything that I would work on together with this Republican administration, and the answer is, of course there is. When it comes to doing good things for Illinois and for our working families and for people all across our state, I'll work with anybody. Recently, our efforts to pay disabled workers a fair wage started playing out in Washington. There was an effort to introduce this and get this done in Washington, D.C. The Biden administration proposed a federal policy that would take Illinois' policy nationwide. Now the ball is in the Trump administration's court, and I'm hopeful that they will work with us to lift up disabled workers. We have a bipartisan coalition of people who believe in this here in Illinois. We have legislators, we have people all across the state who belong to both parties who care about this. The federal government ought to adopt this policy, and I think we can all help them do so. The question was about whether I've received any communication from the Trump administration about their immigration actions. None. And I think that's just more evidence of the chaos and confusion that they're trying to sow. And it's very disappointing. Yesterday, as you may have heard, there was an executive order issued that would suggest that President Trump is trying to get rid of birthright citizenship in this country. That's unconstitutional, what he issued, the executive order. And we will not follow an unconstitutional executive order, and we will follow the law in the state. Yes, Amanda.
Issue this flood of orders to cause chaos and perhaps an act of self-defense. But there was a particular area that you are directing the state's attention, obviously the metric that address the federal government, but you're really trying to focus on.
Well, let me begin by saying I'm continuing to do my job, and that's to protect the people of the state of Illinois, to lift people up, to make sure that we're passing and signing a Dignity and Pay Act, for example. And importantly, to make life more affordable for people. We got rid of the grocery tax in the state of Illinois. That was something that President Trump talked about. Not the grocery tax, but just lowering prices at grocery stores. And yet, in the flood of all of the proposals that he made yesterday, there was nothing that would lower costs. In fact, he proposed tariffs on goods coming into this country from Canada and Mexico. and is proposing having an entire department that's dedicated to tariffs. Well, guess who's going to pay for tariffs? He is raising costs for people across this country, not lowering them. We're doing our job here to make life better for people in the state of Illinois. Yeah. Look, I don't know. They've not communicated with us, so we don't know when exactly those enforcement actions might take place. We have heard that they're targeting as many as 2,000 people initially in the city of Chicago alone. I don't know whether they'll effectuate that or how. And I want to be clear about what my position is and what the law is. If there are violent criminals who have been convicted of violent crimes, who are undocumented, they are supposed to be deported. That is the law of the United States and has been for quite a long time. I don't want them in my state. I don't want them in the country. If you're going to commit crimes and you're undocumented, you don't deserve to stay in this country. Now, as for undocumented people and residents of the state of Illinois, by the way, there are people who are discriminating against documented immigrants too in the process of all this. But we're talking about people who are paying taxes, who are not getting any services for those taxes when they're undocumented. They can't show themselves to get the services that other people who pay taxes would get. And these are people who have raised families in the United States, who are law-abiding, and often are the anchors of their communities. And I think we should think very carefully about what immigration means to this country. It is what we were founded upon. It is something that we should have comprehensive immigration reform in this country, and not simply have a president who is scaring people, forcing them out of their jobs because they're afraid to go to work. You go to 26th, go to Little Village, go to Pilsen. I was there yesterday. I was in businesses yesterday that were relatively empty because people are afraid to show up. Because even documented immigrants, even citizens who are from another country but now are citizens of the United States, have relatives who are undocumented, they're afraid. That is what this president is doing, and it's wrong.
Did the president match his promise or his forecast of being dictator on day one?
What I know is that people across the United States are having their rights taken away. What I know is that people, vulnerable people across our country, are under attack as a result of this new administration. And I think it's frightening that right there at the inauguration, in the front row, were a bunch of, well, some people have called them oligarchs. These are the wealthiest people in the country who essentially Donald Trump, well, feels better about having them around than having ordinary Americans backing him up or standing with him. And I think it's just an indication of what this administration is really all about. It isn't about what he ran on. It isn't. And you're going to see over and over and over again what I think we saw when I was, governor when he was last president, which is he makes promises that sound good and doesn't deliver on the promises that are good for people, and then instead is actually effectuating policies that are either good for him personally and enrich him personally or his family, or are good for his friends and allies but bad for anyone else in the country. When you are a leader in this country, when you are a governor of a state, you're president of the United States, you have an obligation in office to fight for everybody that you represent, everybody on both sides of the aisle. Yet what used to be the party of law and order is now the party of chaos and disorder, and that stands against law enforcement. The people who attacked the Capitol on January 6th were attacking law enforcement, because that's who was there guarding the Capitol. And there are so many pictures and videos. If you don't know it, go look, because there were people who died, law enforcement who died as a result of the attack by those January 6th rioters. And he fomented that. You know, I was at the White House not very long ago with President Biden, and there's a room behind the Oval Office that he showed me, which is the dining room when he wants to have lunch or dinner, you know, in a private setting. People don't usually see this room. It's the room that the President Trump sat in for 3.5 hours watching TV as the January 6th rioters that he encouraged were attacking the Capitol. Sat there doing nothing. Doing nothing. Like one of the most important institutions of our nation was under attack. And President Trump, who had the ability to stop it, did nothing for 3.5 hours and people died. Thank you.